Rain drummed on the roof of the empty banquet hall, each drop like a small hammer on Jade Brooks's ribs. She stood alone at the back of the dark room, fingers pressed against a linen-clad table that no one would ever sit at now. 10 minutes earlier, crowds and music had filled the place. 10 minutes earlier, laughter had rolled off chandeliers that blinked like crystal stars. Then the screens lowered from the ceiling, and everything inside Jade shattered. A bright video opened with the headline, "Kane invests in forever and in love." On screen, Michael Canaclean, cut, perfect suit, perfect smile, held the waist of a glittering socialite named Evelyn Hawthorne. "I found my future," he said to the cameras, raising his fiancée's hand high. Confetti burst. Reporters cheered. The millionaire looked straight into the lens. "There is no one else for me." Jade's lungs froze. Only yesterday, Michael had whispered that very line into her ear. Yesterday his hands had been tangled in her curls. Yesterday he had sworn she was the only woman who saw his real heart behind the gold doors and titanium cards. While the elite clapped on screen, staff rushed in panic behind the scenes. Someone cut the lights, and the gala guests flooded out like a frightened tide. But Jade stayed rooted. She watched every second, even when her face grew tight with salt. When the video ended, someone pulled the cord on the speakers, and the hall fell dead quiet except for that rain-steady, pitiless, true. Jade lifted her eyes to the giant blank screen. It looked like a night sky with no stars. "He erased me," she thought. Just like that, a soft tremor rolled through her stomach. She pressed a napkin to her mouth, as if the thin fabric could stop memories from spilling out. Michael's late-night calls, the secret walks by the river, the way he tucked her hand inside his coat when cold wind scraped across the pier. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She swiped with shaking thumb. A single text glowed. "Check your locker, M." 2 rows of storage cubbies lined the hallway behind the kitchens. She had used the smallest one because she was just event staff, even though she held 2 degrees in dreams that weighed more than any silver tray. Now, with raw breath, she spun the lock. Inside lay a plain white envelope and a check 5 figures, crisp, cruel. The note read, "Jade, for everything you did, for every hour you gave, please accept this as thanks and goodbye. Michael." "No, I'm sorry." No explanation. Only money, slid between cheap steel walls and rain-soaked silence. Jade's throat ached with a scream she refused to release. She gripped the check until the edges cut her palm. The ink blurred under tears she fought but lost. "He thinks I can be paid off." The paper shook harder. "He thinks love has a price." In that moment, the unsettling truth settled deeper than bone. The man she had trusted, defended, and believed in had broken her heart not with words, but with a signature on a bank slip. Yet the most piercing pain was not the betrayal or the public lie. It was the thin thread of hope still pulsing inside her chest, the small, stubborn voice whispering that there must be a reason. She hated that voice, wanted to crush it, but it sang on, "You know him. He is not cold. Something is wrong." She stuffed the envelope into her coat pocket and stepped into the rain-soaked night. Streetlights drew long, crooked shadows across the pavement, like warning lines she should not cross. Her heels clicked on wet stone. Wind whipped her curls into her face, mixing tears with rain, but she kept walking, past locked doors and dark taxis, until harbor lights flickered in the distance. This pier had been their secret place. Boats rocked slowly, chains clinking against metal poles. She listened to the hush, hoping to drown the storm in her chest. Instead, waves slapped hard at the wooden posts, echoing the slap of betrayal. She took out the check and watched water smear the ink, For a breath, she thought of dropping it into the sea, letting the wind carry his money down to the mud. But another thought rose. Keep it. One day you might need proof of this night, proof of what he did. She folded the damp paper and tucked it safe inside a leather wallet her late mother had given her. The wallet bore a single word in small gold letters: Faith. Lightning clawed the sky. Thunder rolled like a broken drum. Jade wrapped her arms around herself and whispered to the empty docks, "I still believe in you, Michael. Don't make me regret it." Behind her, city sirens wailed, as if the universe itself was alarmed at the path her heart had chosen. She exhaled, slow and steady, unaware that this was only the first crack in a night of deeper fractures. Somewhere high above, hidden behind storm clouds, dawn waited. But before she could reach its light, she would first have to walk through a maze of secrets, darker than the water beneath her feet. Morning came wrapped in a heavy gray sky, but Jade did not sleep long enough to see it. She paced her small studio apartment, sipping bitter coffee that felt more like sand on her tongue. Boxes of craft supplies and old textbooks filled the corners, reminders that she balanced two jobs, chasing her dream to start an event design firm of her own one day. Now those dreams seemed like fragile balloons around sharp nails. Her phone blinked with headlines about Michael Caine's sudden engagement. Social media praised the perfect match between the tech millionaire and society darling Evelyn Hawthorne. Photos showed Michael smiling, but Jade studied his eyes. They looked tight, guarded, almost scared. She tapped the screen until her thumb hurt, wishing pixels could speak the truth. A knock rattled her door. She opened it to find her best friend Mia Turner, holding a bag of warm muffins and a face full of worry. Mia worked nights as a nurse and days as Jade's unofficial big sister. She stepped in without waiting for an invite, set the bag on the table, and wrapped Jade in a hug so strong it cracked the shell around her heart. "I saw the news clip," Mia whispered. "Talk to me." Jade's voice came out in a thin thread. "He paid me off, Mia. Left a check in my locker like I was an invoice." Mia's dark brows drew together. "How much?" "30,000. Mia let out a slow whistle. "That's hush money." Jade shook her head. "I know what it looks like, but I still feel there's more. He isn't cruel. He listened to my ideas, asked about my family, sat at my mama's grave with me in the rain. A man who does that doesn't throw you away for public lights." Mia opened the muffin bag and handed Jade one, even though neither of them felt hungry. Believing in someone is brave, but don't let hope chain you to pain. Jade thanked her but tucked the words deep. They both knew Jade's history, a father who quit on promises, a trail of broken some days. Still, Jade kept faith like others kept breathing. A ping landed in her email. From events@canatech.com. Subject: invoice received. Her jaw tightened. She forwarded the message to Mia, then hit delete. She worked a double shift that day at the downtown conference center, setting stages, arranging chairs, smiling at clients who never saw the circles under her eyes. By afternoon, a cold drizzle dusted the glass ceiling above the atrium, and her muscles burned from lifting crates. During a break, Jade checked her messages and found a voicemail from an unknown number. She pressed play, heart thudding. "Jade, it's Michael." His voice was low, frayed. "I'm sorry. I need you to stay away for now. Please trust me. I'll fix this." A pause, then softer. "I still carry the ring you picked out for me, the one you said matched my dreams. I never gave it to anyone else. Remember that." The call ended. Jade's hand trembled so badly she almost dropped the phone. A ring? He had planned to propose to her? Mia's warning echoed, but Jade felt a spark flare inside. She typed a quick reply. "Tell me what's going on. Face to face." She pressed send, but an error flashed. Message failed, number blocked for outgoing contact. Her chest sank. An older co-worker, Mr. Ellis, noticed her distress. He handed her a small flyer. "Thought you might want an extra gig," he said. "Private party tomorrow night. Big tip if you can bartend." Jade thanked him and scanned the address. It was a mansion on the river, Evelyn Hawthorne's family estate. Heat rose in her cheeks. Was fate taunting her, or offering a path? That evening, she and Mia sat on the worn sofa, planning. Mia pulled up articles about Kane Tech. One item caught Jade's eye. A legal notice filed the same day as Michael's engagement. Kane Tech stocks frozen pending inquiry. Something about insider fraud tied to Hawthorne International. Could he be trapped? Jade asked, breathing faster. Mia nodded slowly. If his company's at risk, a public merger with the Hawthorne fortune could be a forced play. Board pressure, maybe blackmail. Money people protect money. Jade stared out the rain-streaked window. The city lights blurred like melting gold. I need proof. If he's being used, I want to free him. If he isn't, I'll walk away for good. Mia tightened her ponytail. Battle mode. Then we gather facts tomorrow night. I'll be your driver. Wear something that blends in, and JD keep copies of everything. Texts, voicemails, that check. Truth leaves paper trails. Before bed, Jade opened her mother's old Bible, the one that still smelled of lavender. A pressed violet marked Psalm 27. She traced the verse about courage and waited for calm to settle. But sleep came only in fits, filled with shadowed halls and closed doors. At dawn, she rose and folded the check into a sealed envelope marked evidence. She slipped it into a hidden pocket of her dress bag. The mansion party would glow with champagne and silk, but Jade planned to move like a ghost searching for keys in the dark. She took one last look in the mirror. Her eyes held storms but also steel. The black woman who never stopped believing in him was about to test whether belief could bend iron bars her, if those bars would break her instead. As the sun fought through thick clouds, Jade whispered to her reflection, "Whatever the truth is, I'll face it." Outside, a lone bus hissed to a halt, ready to carry her toward the Hawthorne estate and into a night that would tangle lives, lies, and love, tighter than any knot she had ever tried to untie. The next evening, rain finally paused, leaving the city air cool and sharp like a fresh blade. Jade stepped from Mia's car 1 block from the Hawthorne mansion. She wore black pants, a fitted white shirt, and a bartender's apron rolled in her bag plain enough to fade into the service crowd. Her hair was in a low bun under a simple cap. She carried a folded printout of the staffing list Mr. Ellis had given her. No one questioned the name J. Brooks when she passed the narrow gate for employees. Inside, the estate glowed with soft gold lights that made marble floors shine like still water. Waiters hurried with silver trays. A violin trio played near soaring glass doors that opened to a moonlit river. Jade kept her head down, but her eyes scanned everything: exits, cameras, and clusters of guests. Behind the main bar, she met Marco, the lead bartender, a tall man with kind eyes. "You the late hire?" he asked. "Yes, Jade," she said, forcing a steady tone. "Good. We're short-handed. Mix simple drinks, pour open wine, keep calm." He pointed to a storage room. "Extra supplies inside. Key code is 1975. Numbers lodged in Jade's mind. She started slicing limes, heart thumping with a double beat. Every glass she set down clinked like a clock, counting seconds until she found answers. At 9, the first flashbulbs flared. Evelyn Hawthorne swept in wearing silver silk that caught every light. Her smile was wide, practiced, a billboard of grace. On her arm stood Michael Kane. Jade gripped the bar top. Michael's tux fit him like midnight. His face looked thinner than in news photos. Jaw tight, as if he held back words. When he brought Evelyn a drink, Jade noticed his hands no ring. She watched him smile at guests, yet his eyes drifted toward shadows, scanning as if expecting danger. Mia's text buzzed in Jade's pocket. Parked by Westgate. All clear. Jade typed under the bar. Saw him. Not wearing ring. She slipped the phone away as Evelyn's father, Senator Charles Hawthorne, took the microphone near the balcony. "Friends," the senator boomed, "tonight we celebrate a union of hearts and of bright futures. My daughter and Michael will lead two families to greater heights." Applause rose, but Michael's smile flickered. Jade poured champagne, her mind racing. Why would he agree to this if fear shadowed his eyes? She spotted a slim man in a gray suit near the library doors. Carter Voss, Caintek's chief financial officer. News blogs had called him a wizard with numbers. He spoke with Senator Hawthorne, voice low, face stern. When Carter turned, Jade saw sweat on his brow, though the room was cool. Marco tapped her shoulder. "Need more ice from storage." Jade nodded and took the hallway toward the back. As she punched 1975 into the keypad, voices drifted from the half-open library across the hall. She paused, spine tingling. "You promised no one would dig into the offshore accounts," Carter hissed. "And they won't if Michael signs the merger tomorrow." The senator's tone was smooth as oil. "Our friends on the board will bury the audit." He's stalling. He asked for the contract text again. He suspects. Then remind him what's at stake. His company, his people, maybe even that little event planner he keeps in his phone logs. Jade's breath caught. She leaned closer. Carter's voice trembled. "If he backs out, the SEC will see my signature too. I protected you, Senator. Remember our deal." "Relax," Hawthorne said. "By dawn, we'll own Caintek, and the girl will be a footnote." Footsteps moved. Jade jolted into the storage room, heart hammering. She closed the door and pressed her ear to wood. She pulled out her phone, hands slick, and snapped photos of a document lying open on a crate. "Merger Agreement Hawthorne Industries, Caintek." Her flash was off. Only dim light edged the paper, but words were clear. Clause 8.1. All assets of Caintek transfer to Hawthorne Holding Company upon union. Clause 9.2 froze her blood. Non-disclosure of pre-existing personal relationships mandated. Breach fee, $100 million. They were buying Michael's silence with threats. Jade's fingers shook as she folded the papers and slid them into her apron. She texted Mia, "Corrupt merger. Need extraction soon." When she stepped back into the hall, Carter Voss blocked her path. "Employees aren't allowed here," he snapped. "Sorry, sir. Ice run." She tried to sidestep, but he grabbed her wrist. His gaze dropped to the papers poking from her pocket. Before he could speak, a firm voice cut in. "Let her go." Michael stood a few feet away, eyes locked on Carter's hand. Carter released her, forced a smile. "Just keeping things tidy." Michael nodded once, cold, and waited until Carter left. Then he faced Jade. The hallway lights cast soft lines under his eyes. They looked tired, wounded, yet brightening at the sight of her. "Jade," he whispered, voice thick. She felt tears rush up but held them back. "Why?" was all she could push out. He glanced around. "Not safe here. Meet me by the boat dock in 20 minutes. I'll explain everything. Trust me." She searched his face. Fear lived there beside fierce resolve. She nodded. He squeezed her hand so fast no camera could catch it and slipped away. Jade rushed to the bar, head spinning. Marco frowned. "Everything okay?" "Yes," she lied. "Just need fresh ice." She filled a bucket, hands steady now with purpose. Time crawled until her watch read 9:45. She handed her apron to Marco. "Restroom break." she said. He waved without looking. Jade moved through back corridors, avoiding grand halls. She passed the library empty now, then slipped out a service door into crisp night air. The river shimmered silver. A long wooden dock stretched into darkness. Michael waited at the end, coat whipping in the breeze. He looked like a man standing at the edge of both water and war. Jade's pulse pounded as she took slow steps toward him, each one lighting a fuse she knew might blow her life apart. Behind her, a soft click sounded heel on stone. She turned. Carter Voss stepped from shadows, holding a small pistol low against his leg. "End of the line, Miss Brooks," he said, voice shaking. Jade froze. Michael's shout split the night, and the river wind swallowed the sound of the first shot. The night cracked wide open. A sharp bang ripped through the air, louder than the river wind. Jade ducked by pure instinct. The bullet splintered a wooden post inches from her head, sending chips flying like angry bees. She tasted salt and smoke. Michael lunged, yanking Jade behind a stacked crate of rope and life vests. Another shot hissed past, skipped off the dock, and died in the dark water. "Carter, stop!" Michael shouted. "You'll ruin everything." Carter's answer was the steel click of the gun's slide. "Too late for warnings, Michael." The senator said, "No loose ends." Jade's chest heaved. She clutched the merger papers inside her coat. Proof, she thought. If we lose those, we lose everything. Michael's shoulder brushed hers. "Are you hurt?" "Fine," she breathed, though her heart hammered like a drum. Footsteps creaked closer on the planks. Michael scanned the dock only one path back to land, and Carter blocked it. The river behind them rolled black and cold. Michael whispered, "When I move, run for the boat tied on the left. Start the engine." She shook her head. "I'm not leaving you." "Please, Jade. If he gets the papers, he wins. You can expose them. Trust me." Their eyes locked. In his, she saw fierce protectiveness, and a plea born of love he could not speak aloud. Michael stood, hands raised. "Carter, listen. The Hawthorns are using us both. Kill me, and you're their next pawn." "Lie down!" Carter barked, voice cracking with panic. He stepped nearer, gun trembling. Jade bolted. Her shoes pounded across wet planks toward the small speedboat. Carter swore and fired again, missed. The blast echoed off the river walls. Michael charged Carter, grabbing the gun barrel. They wrestled, feet scraping wood. The weapon flashed between them, their faces lit for a blink by muzzle flare. The shot went wild, hitting nothing but night. Jade leapt into the boat. Her fingers fumbled with the key dangling beside the throttle. She twisted nothing. Engine coughed, stalled. "Come on," she begged. On the dock, Michael slammed Carter's wrist against a piling. The gun clattered to the boards. Carter punched Michael's jaw. Michael staggered but caught himself. Carter lunged for the gun, but Michael kicked it into the water with a splash. Carter shouted a curse and pulled a phone from his pocket. "Security!" he yelled into the mic. "Dock, now!" Jade tried the key a third time. The engine roared awake. "Michael!" she screamed. He sprinted toward her as floodlights flared on the lawn. Two guards in suits burst from a hedge, radios blaring. Gunmetal shapes gleamed in their hands. Michael jumped the last 3 feet into the boat. Jade slammed the throttle forward. The boat lurched, cutting away from the dock just as fresh shots sparked behind them. Water sprayed her face like cold needles. She ducked, steering into the wide channel. Bullets slapped the river, then fell silent. Soon only the rush of wind and engine filled the night. Michael dropped to a seat, breathing hard. Blood trickled from a split lip, but his eyes were clear. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I'm okay." Her voice shook. "You?" "Better now." He managed a faint smile. "You drive like a pro." Adrenaline lessons, she said, almost laughing from the shock. City lights shrank behind them. Dark hills edged the horizon ahead. Jade eased the throttle. Where do we go? I know a safe place upriver. Old boat shed my father kept. No one else remembers it. He pointed to a bend hidden by tall reeds. The shed waited like a shadow under leaning trees. Jade steered in and killed the engine. They floated into silence, broken only by drums of water off the roof. Inside, moonlight slipped through slats, striping dusty workbenches. Michael tied the boat. His hands trembled as he reached for Jade. She stepped close, warmth passing between them. I wanted to tell you everything, he said, voice low. But every call, every text was watched. They froze my accounts, threatened to frame my staff. They said you would disappear if I spoke. Jade touched his bruised cheek. I heard part of their plan. Offshore accounts, forced merger. He nodded. The senator's group funneled dirty money through Canetech without my knowledge. When I found gaps in the books, Carter confessed he'd helped them. Hawthorne offered me a deal. Marry Evelyn, merge the companies, and they'd clean the money before regulators could see. If I refused, scandal, prison, and... His throat worked. And harm to you. Tears stung Jade's eyes, half pain, half fury. You tried to push me away to protect me. I thought it was the only way. He swallowed hard. But watching you walk out of that hall broke me more than any threat. I still love you, Jade. I never stopped. She felt the words land in her chest like soft fire. But fear lingered. We have evidence now, but they'll come after us. Then we move fast. He pulled a small drive from his inner pocket. Encrypted logs of every illegal transfer. Together with your papers, it's enough to bury them. His shoulders slumped. I'm sorry about the check. I hoped you'd hate me and stay safe. She half laughed, half sobbed. I almost burned it, but hope's stubborn. He brushed a tear from her cheek. Thank you for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Their foreheads touched, breaths mingling. For a long moment, the shed felt like its own world, quiet and real, far from threats. But outside, tires skidded on gravel. Voices echoed, flashlights cut across reed tops. Jade's pulse spiked. They found us. Michael pocketed the drive. We have to run. Get this to someone we trust. Do you still have your friend's car nearby? Mia's waiting at the East Bridge. 10 minutes by foot through the woods. He grabbed her hand. Then we move. They slipped out the back of the shed into tall grass wet with dew. Moonlight guided them into trees, branches clawing at their clothes. Behind, boots pounded dockboards. Beams of light swept the shed. Jade and Michael ran, breath white in the cool night. Twigs snapped under their heels. Each footstep felt like a countdown. 9 minutes, 8, 7. In the thicket ahead, a single light flickered a dirt road street lamp near the bridge. Safety felt close enough to touch. But the roar of an engine erupted behind them. An SUV burst onto the path, headlights glaring. Carter Voss leaned from the passenger window, face twisted with rage, new weapon in hand. Michael pulled Jade down behind a fallen log as bullets tore leaves overhead. Heart pounding, Jade clutched the envelope and the drive against her chest. The lights grew brighter, the engine louder. Escape lay only yards away, yet might as well be miles through steel and fire. The forest lit up with harsh white beams. Tires chewed the dirt path, throwing stones in every direction. Jade and Michael pressed low behind the fallen log as bullets snapped branches overhead. Wood splintered, showering them with dust and bark. Michael's voice was a rough whisper. When they reload, we sprint. Jade's heart drummed so fast she feared it would burst. She clutched the envelope and flashed, drive tighter, feeling their edges dig into her palm, a painful promise of truth that must survive. The SUV's engine stopped. Doors slammed. Carter's shout cut the night. Boots crunched leaves 3 men, maybe 4. A magazine clicked out of a rifle. Michael counted under his breath, lips barely moving. 1, 2, now. They rose and ran left, deeper into shadow. Shots cracked behind them, but wild. The guards couldn't see through thick undergrowth. Jade's legs burned, yet fear kept her fast. A low branch whipped her cheek. She didn't slow. They burst through brambles onto a narrow service road bordering the river bridge. A lone sedan idled there, headlights off. Mia leaned out the driver's window, eyes wide. "Get in!" Michael pulled Jade toward the back seat. They dove in. Mia hit the gas before the door even shut. Tires shrieked on gravel. The car fishtailed, then found grip, rocketing toward the bridge's metal span. In the rear window, Jade saw flashlights reach the tree line. Gunfire flared once, twice, sparks dying far behind as distance grew. The guards scrambled back to their SUV. Mia shot a quick glance at the mirror. "Friends of yours?" Michael answered, panting. "More like family I wish I never knew." Mia's jaw tightened. Seatbelts. She swung the wheel hard, merging onto the quiet highway that crossed the dark river. City lights flickered in the far distance like a wounded skyline. Jade leaned forward between the seats. "We have what we need, documents and a drive, but we need a safe place to copy and send them. Somewhere the Hawthorns can't reach." Mia nodded, eyes sharp. "I know a spot. Old clinic where I moonlight. Secure Wi-Fi, few cameras, 15 minutes if I push it." Michael placed a gentle hand on Jade's shoulder. "You okay?" She let out a shaky breath. "Ask me when we're finished." Behind them, headlights appeared, not one pair, but 2, speeding onto the bridge. Mia cursed under her breath and floored the accelerator. The sedan surged forward, engine whining. "Hold on." Wind roared through cracks in the windows. Speedometer climbed. 60, 70. Jade felt the car vibrate. The pursuing lights grew, dancing in her tears. Halfway across the bridge, red construction cones blocked one lane overnight repairs. Metal barriers forced traffic into single file. Mia swerved left, barely missing a cone. The SUV behind tried to follow but clipped a barrier, sparks spraying. It kept coming, relentless. Michael scanned the road ahead. A maintenance ramp angled down under the bridge, chained off. He spoke fast. "Take the ramp, they'll overshoot." "Chain's locked," Mia said. "Hit it. The chain will break." Mia's knuckles whitened. "Here goes." She yanked the wheel. The sedan smashed through the thin chain. Links snapped like popcorn. They skidded onto the lower ramp sheltered by steel beams. Mia killed the headlights and braked hard behind a row of heavy equipment. They sat in darkness, engines ticking. Above, the SUV roared past, siren wail fading. Jade exhaled shaky relief. Her hands wouldn't stop trembling. Michael reached back, entwined his fingers with hers. The small contact steadied her like warm stone. Mia cracked a grin. "We've got maybe 2 minutes before they circle back. Clinic's straight shot once we exit this service lane." "Go," Jade said. They wound under the bridge and back onto an empty frontage road, moving fast but cautious. At last, a low brick building came into view with a flickering sign. Riverside Community Health. The parking lot was dark. Mia parked near a side door and tapped a code. The lock beeped open. Inside, fluorescent lights hummed dimly above clean halls that smelled of disinfectant and old secrets. "In here," she whispered, leading them to a small break room. She booted an aging laptop, connected a cord from her phone. Secure network, no outside cameras. Michael handed her the flash drive. "Copy everything twice. One encrypted, one plain." Jade unfolded the merger papers, smoothing them on the table. Her fingers brushed the wet check still tucked inside, evidence of betrayal and of trust regained. She laid it beside the drive, Mia's screen filled with folders, account ledgers, offshore bank lists, signed emails. She whistled low, enough to sink a battleship. Michael paced, running a hand through his hair. Blood from his split lip dotted his collar. We send packets to the SEC, major papers, and a friend at the state attorney's office. If we push all at once, Hawthorne can't plug every leak. Working, Mia said, keys clacking. Jade watched Michael, heart swelling with the weight of what they faced. She stepped close, touching his arm. He turned, relief softening his hard edges. "I'm sorry," he said again, voice rough, "for the pain." She shook her head gently. "You fought to keep me safe. That means more than perfect honesty ever could." Their eyes held, quiet promise flowing between. For a moment the buzzing light, the stale coffee smell, the entire clinic faded until there was only them two souls, bruised yet unbroken. Mia's clear voice cut in. "Files uploading 70%. A distant engine rumbled outside. Headlights swept through frosted glass blocks. Jade's chest tightened. "They found us." Michael moved to the window. He saw dark SUVs creeping into the lot. "Time's up." Mia slapped a flash drive into Jade's palm. "Offline copy. If they kill the upload, this lives." The front door rattled with heavy blows. A voice shouted, "Open up, federal agents!" Michael cursed. "They're using fake badges. We need another exit." Mia pointed down the hall. "Loading dockback of the supply wing. Keypad code 0324. Jade pocketed the drive. The files on it felt heavier than gold. They sprinted down a sterile corridor. Doors shook as men forced entry behind them. Alarm bells shrieked. Fluorescent bulbs flickered. At the dock, Mia punched the code. The big rolling door hummed up, revealing an alley. Sirens wailed in the distant serial police, maybe tipped by gunshots on the bridge. Michael guided Jade down the ramp. Mia followed, slamming the door control. The shutter screeched halfway, then jammed. Footsteps thundered inside, closing fast. Michael spotted an ambulance parked near dumpsters, keys dangling in its ignition slot, maintenance run abandoned. He climbed in, started the engine. Lights flared red. "Mia, in!" Jade yelled. As Mia jumped in the passenger side, masked men burst onto the ramp, weapons raised. Michael floored the accelerator. The ambulance roared forward, clipping trash bins, sending lids spinning. Bullets cracked the rear doors but couldn't penetrate thick steel. Sirens grew louder ahead. Blue lights appeared at the street mouth. Michael steered hard onto the main road just as two squad cars skidded to block pursuit. The fake agents braked, trapped between police and shutter door. Jade sagged against the wall of the cabin, heart finally slowing. She clutched the flash drive to her chest, feeling its cool surface warm under her grip. Michael met her gaze in the rearview mirror. Hope glimmered there, fragile, bright. Mia let out a long breath, half laugh. "Next stop, television news or witness protection?" Michael glanced at Jade. "Next stop, justice, and after that whatever life we choose together." Jade's answer was a soft smile that reached her tired eyes. The road ahead was still dark, but dawn was coming, and with it, a future neither money nor fear could steal. The ambulance rumbled east, its red lights still spinning but the siren off. Michael kept one hand tight on the wheel, eyes flicking from road to mirrors. Mia's phone fed them police chatter. The officers at Riverside had detained two men with fake IDs. That bought a small window. Jade sat on the stretcher, the flash drive hidden under a blanket. Her heart still raced, yet a strange calm settled in. Every mile they put between themselves and the Hawthorns felt like one brick lifting off her chest. Mia studied a map app. State Attorney's field office is downtown. 30 minutes if no traffic. Michael shook his head. Too public. Hawthorne has eyes everywhere. We need Assistant Attorney Lisa Ortegache's honest, hates corruption, and she owes me a favor from a charity case. But she's home tonight. Not at work. Where does she live? Jade asked. Edgewater Apartments, Harbor District. Guarded building, underground garage. If we get there, we can give her the evidence in person. Mia zoomed the map. That's 25 minutes in this crate. Fuel's low, too. She glanced at the gauge near empty. Michael exhaled. We'll make it. Sirens cried far behind, moving the opposite way toward the clinic. Jade hoped the police would keep the fake agents pinned long enough. She looked at Michael's bruised cheek. Let me clean that, she said, finding a first aid box on the wall. She dabbed antiseptic on a pad and touched it gently to his skin. He winced, then smiled. You're saving me in more ways than one. Teamwork, she answered, simple and true. Sudden headlights flared behind them, high and fast. Jade's pulse spiked. A black sedan was closing the gap. Mia cursed softly. They found us again. Michael pushed the ambulance harder. The engine groaned, tires humming on wet asphalt. Hold tight. The sedan edged left, trying to come alongside. Its windows were blacked out. Jade saw the driver lean forward, phone to ear, probably feeding their location to more pursuers. A green highway sign flashed. Exit 14 Industrial Wharf Mile. Michael glanced at Mia. Sharp right at the ramp. Lose them in the yard. Mia nodded, braced. At the last second, Michael yanked the wheel. The ambulance lurched off the main road, brakes squealing. The black sedan overshot, had to brake and swing wide, tires howling. They barreled down a deserted service lane lined with stacks of shipping containers. Sodium lamps cast eerie orange pools. Michael killed the lights, rolling in shadow between tall metal rows. The ambulance coasted behind a tower of blue crates and stopped. Engines ticked. Everyone held breath. The black sedan's roar echoed somewhere at the far end, headlights slicing across aisles as it searched. Mia whispered, "We can't hide forever." Michael scanned the rows. "There's a back gate to Harbor District, if we cut through on foot." He pointed to a chain-link fence behind the containers. The city's skyline rose beyond, only 6 blocks from Ortega's building. "We ditched the ambulance," Jade said, gripping the drive. They slid out the rear door, boots crunching gravel. Mia grabbed a med bag, never know. They jogged low between container stacks. The air tasted of salt and rust. A flashlight swept nearby. Voices barked. Jade squeezed Michael's hand, fear buzzing but focused. They reached the fence. Mia snipped the thin chain with trauma shears from the med bag. One by one, they slipped through. City streets opened ahead, quiet, residential. They walked fast, heads down. Jade hugged her coat around the evidence, feeling its weight like a heartbeat. Her mind rushed in circles. What if Ortega was not home? What if the files failed to upload? What if Hawthorne bought someone inside the police? She pushed doubts aside, one step at a time. Edgewater Apartments loomed 12 stories of glass, lights soft behind curtained windows. A sleepy guard sat inside the lobby booth. Michael swiped his emergency credit card at the garage keypad, thankfully not yet frozen, and the gate rolled open. They hurried to the elevator. Michael hit 9. On the ride up, he squeezed Jade's fingers. Almost there. The hall smelled of fresh paint. Apartment 904 bore a bronze plaque. Michael knocked 3 times. Pause. To an old code between friends. Locks turned. The door opened to reveal a woman in sweats, hair in a messy bun, glasses perched on her nose. Lisa Ortega's sharp brown eyes widened. "Mike, it's nearly midnight." "Lisa, I need help." He stepped in, ushering Jade and Mia. "And this must stay off record until you see it." He handed her the flash drive. Ortega's apartment was neat, books stacked by subject. She led them to a dining table, plugged the drive into her work laptop. Within minutes, screens filled with spreadsheets, emails, bank trails. Her face hardened. "These transfers. This is federal crime territory. RICO, money laundering, bribery. If this is real—" "It's real," Jade said, laying down the damp merger papers and the check. "There's more witness threats, attempted murder." Ortega scanned the documents. "My God," Mia added. "I copied full backups to cloud under 3 deadman links. If anything happens to us, files go public." Ortega closed the laptop, spine straight. "Okay. First, we secure you 3. I can call a federal marshal I trust and wake a judge for emergency protection orders." Michael shook his head. "Can't risk open channels. Hawthorne has moles." Ortega thought a moment, then smiled a little. "I forgot you taught me chess. Time for a gambit." She grabbed her coat and a burner phone from a drawer. "There's an off-site evidence vault at the old courthouse annex. Hardwired, no wireless, staffed by 2 retired marshals who hate dirty politics. We go now. Enter files in the sealed log. Once stamped, any tampering is obstruction of justice." Jade's hope flared. "Lead the way." Sudden pounding rattled the apartment door. A male voice called, "Police, open up for a welfare check." Ortega's eyes narrowed. They moved fast. "Fire escape," Jade whispered. Ortega nodded toward the kitchen. "4th floor roof overhang. Drops to alley." The door shook harder. Mia grabbed the laptop and a portable drive. Ortega stuffed the merger papers into a folder and tucked her badge in pocket. They slipped into the kitchen. Ortega slid the window up, cold night rushing in. Michael climbed out first onto the narrow metal platform. He reached for Jade, then Mia, then Ortega. Below, blue lights flashed as a patrol car rolled up. Genuine or not, they couldn't test it. They crept down rattling steps to the alley. Ortega pointed toward a dim lot. "My old college car. No tracker." A battered hatchback sat under a flickering lamp. They piled in. Jade kept low while Ortega drove fast yet careful, weaving through side streets. As they neared the river again, the skyline east glowed faint dawn only hours away. Ortega parked behind the shuttered courthouse annex, a stone building lost to time. Iron bars guarded stained glass windows. 2 elderly men in marshal jackets met them at a rear door Ortega had called during the drive. She flashed her badge. They opened up. Inside, dusty corridors smelled of old paper. An evidence cage waited in the basement, thick bars and a logbook hand, written since decades ago. One marshal, Gray, watched as Ortega copied the drive to a secure server, then sealed the physical one in a numbered bag. Jade signed the log as witness. Michael and Mia did too. Gray stamped each page of the merger contract. The loud thunk of the seal echoed like a judge's gavel. Jade felt a rush of relief so strong her knees wobbled. Proof was now inside the law's walls. Michael put an arm around her shoulders. "No matter what they try, they can't erase this." Jade leaned into him. "We still need the world to know." Ortega zipped the laptop into an evidence pouch. "The moment sun rises, I'll walk this to the U.S. Attorney and call a press briefing." Hawthorne's reach stops where daylight begins. Outside, faint sirens passed, but did not slow. Dawn's first gray ribbon touched the windows. Mia exhaled. "We might just make it." But as they climbed back to ground level, Gray's radio crackled. A voice warned, "Unmarked vehicles circling the block. At least 4. Possible hostile." Michael met Jade's gaze. "They're not giving up." Jade felt tired but fierce. "Neither are we." The marshal locked front doors, but heavy engines idled outside, their rumble vibrating through stone. Shadows moved behind frosted glass. The night was almost over, yet the last, hardest stand waited with the rising sun. Engines growled outside the old courthouse annex, low and angry, like animals circling prey. Thick stone walls muffled the sound, but vibrations shook dust from the rafters. Jade glanced at the high windows, saw dark shapes moving beyond the bars. Marshal Gray locked the front gate, then looked back, eyes grim. These folks aren't waiting for a warrant. The second Marshal, Willis, checked his revolver only 6 rounds. Phones are jammed, he said, frowning at a dead screen. They're running a signal blocker. Lisa Ortega cursed under her breath. We need to get word out before they storm in. Michael squeezed Jade's hand. We still have one tool left, truth in plain sight. He turned to Ortega. It should, she said. Judge used to stream proceedings for disabled viewers. Hardline buried in the wall can't be jammed. Mia snapped her fingers. We can live stream the evidence. Once it's public. Jade's pulse kicked. Then let's set the stage. They hurried up marble steps to the abandoned main courtroom. Moonlight and the first pale streak of dawn leaked through tall windows, washing dusty pews in silver. Michael found the wall panel, pried off the cover, and pulled out an Ethernet line patched to an old router. It flickered green, a small, steady heartbeat. Ortega set her laptop on the judge's bench. Mia used gaffer tape from her med bag to stick Jade's phone as a camera facing the bench, angled wide so the whole group would be on screen. We go live on every platform, Ortega said, typing fast. Once I hit send, mirrors pushed to a dozen servers. Gray and Willis dragged heavy benches to block the double doors. From outside came the clank of metal tools, Hawthorne's men working on locks. Jade stood beside Michael, nerves buzzing. She touched the envelope and the merge papers, now sealed in evidence bags. The check from Michael lay on top, a small slip of betrayal turned proof of love. Ortega hit a key. A red live icon glowed. We're streaming, she breathed. She cleared her voice, staring into the phone lens. I am Assistant State Attorney Lisa Ortega. I am joined by federal marshals and witnesses to crimes involving Senator Charles Hawthorne and Kane Tech CFO Carter Voss. She laid out the flash drive and documents, naming offenses: money laundering, bribery, attempted murder. Numbers and signatures flashed on screen as she scrolled. Michael stepped forward. My name is Michael Kane. I was forced into a merger under threat to my company and the woman I love, Jade Brooks. I am placing every file I have in the public domain. Jade's turn came. She spoke steady and clear. They said a black woman like me could be erased with a check. But faith is louder than fear. If something happens to us, remember these files and make them count. In the hallway, a battering ram slammed the doors. Wood cracked but held. Mia leaned into camera view. Downloading now to thousands, she said, holding up her phone showing progress bars spreading like fireworks. Ortega pressed a final key. Copies sent to major newsrooms and the U.S. Attorney's server. The doors burst open. Men in black rushed in, guns raised. Gray fired once into the ceiling. Federal officers, drop it, he barked. The intruders hesitated, startled by lights and cameras aimed their way. Ortega called out, voice ringing, You are live to the world. Any violence will be witnessed by millions. For a tense beat, no one moved. Then Carter Voss stepped through the broken doorway, face pale with fury. He raised a pistol at Michael. Michael lifted his hands, standing between Carter and Jade. It's too late, Carter. Carter's hands shook. You ruined us. You ruined me. Sirens wailed outside, sidereal ones, lots of them. Red and blue lights strobed through windows. Overhead, whump, whump of a helicopter. Carter's eyes darted. He grabbed Jade's arm, yanking her forward. Then I take leverage. Michael lunged but froze as Carter pressed the gun to Jade's temple. Jade's skin went ice cold, but she kept her gaze on Michael, silently begging him not to rush. Cameras rolled. Hundreds, thousands now watched the stream. Below in the hall, commanding voices boomed. "State police! All armed individuals drop weapons!" Shouts, footsteps. Carter's men backed toward exits, trapped between police lines. Carter dragged Jade toward the side door leading to the judge's chambers, gun shaking. "No one follow or she dies!" Michael stepped forward. "Take me instead." Carter sneered. "You think I trust you?" His grip tightened. Her mind raced. She remembered something. The check, edges hard in her back pocket. Slowly, she slipped out the folded paper, keeping her movements small. "One payment," she said softly, voice quivering but clear. "The senator paid Michael to betray me, but he failed. Maybe this is worth more to you alive than dead." She held up the check where Carter could see, his name scrawled on the note, proof of hush money. "This could buy you a deal." Carter's eyes flicked to adjust a blink, but his focus shifted. In that heartbeat, Michael moved, slamming Carter's wrist up. The gun fired, bullet shattering a chandelier. Glass rained like sharp rain. Gray shoved Jade sideways. She hit the floor as Carter and Michael grappled. The pistol skidded toward Ortega. She kicked it under a bench. Carter threw a wild punch. Michael dodged and drove his shoulder into Carter's chest, slamming him against the judge's desk. Wood cracked. Carter sagged, breath gone. Police stormed in, cuffing him. Jade pushed to her feet, heart roaring in her ears. Michael turned, eyes wide, searching. She ran into his arms. He held her tight, foreheads pressed together. Around them, officers secured the room. Cameras still live. Ortega faced the lens one last time. "The suspects are in custody. Evidence is protected. Truth has prevailed." She ended the stream. A long silence settled, broken only by shards tinkling as they settled on the floor. Outside the windows, dawn finally claimed the sky, painting clouds pink and gold. Sirens faded, replaced by distant gull cries over the river. Jade breathed deep, the first free breath in what felt like years. Michael's hands framed her face, gentle despite bruises. "Are you hurt?" he whispered. "I'm okay," she said, tears spilling relief. "Joy, everything together. We're okay." Police led Carter away in cuffs. Senator Hawthorne was reported detained at his estate. News radios buzzed with the arrest, as detectives read him rights. Mia hugged Jade and Michael at once, laughing and crying. "We did it," she said, voice thick. Whole world saw. The marshals began clearing debris. Reporters already massed outside the courthouse gate, cameras aimed toward the broken doors. Ortega joined Jade, a hand on her shoulder. "You were brave," she said. "Your faith saved more than one life tonight." Jade glanced at Michael. He looked back with pure, unguarded love. She realized that every storm had led them here to truth in daylight. But the story wasn't over yet. There would be trials, headlines, and hard healing. And amid it all, Jade and Michael had to decide what their tomorrow would look like together. For now, though, the sun kept climbing, bright and unstoppable. 6 months later, summer sunlight spilled over the city like warm honey. The worst of the storm was behind them. Senator Hawthorne and Carter Voss now waited for trial on federal charges: money laundering, fraud, and attempted murder. Every week brought another headline. Whistleblower documents rock political elite. Each new fact proved what Jade, Michael, and their friends had risked their lives to show the world. Michael regained control of Kane Tech after the board voted to cut all ties with the Hawthorne family. Share prices rose again, slow but steady, as trust returned. Yet Michael spent most mornings not in a glass tower, but in a small office downtown. Right. above the storefront, where Jade had finally opened her own event design studio, True Bloom Creations. The studio smelled of fresh paint and lilies. Soft music floated through open windows, mixing with sounds of the busy street. Swatches of gold ribbon, samples of linen, and sketches of table settings covered a wide corkboard. In one corner stood a tall bookshelf, where Jade kept a framed copy of the evidence log, a reminder of faith that changed many lives. Mia sat at the desk, sorting client email before her night shift at the hospital. "Bride wants sunflowers for September," she said, grinning. "Easy fix. Already found a local farm." Jade thanked her friend. A light breeze lifted Jade's curls as she checked the calendar. Every slot for the next 3 months was full weddings, charity galas, even a city-wide food festival. True Bloom had grown fast, powered by word of mouth and one special investor. Footsteps echoed on the stairs. Michael appeared, holding 2 iced coffees and a paper bag. "Fuel delivery," he said, offering Jade the bag. She slid stools together by the front window. They unwrapped croissants while city life bustled outside, kids on bikes, buses rumbling, dogs pulling owners toward the park. Michael watched Jade, eyes glowing with quiet pride. "Remember when you said love had no price?" he asked. She smiled. It proved true. He reached into his jacket and placed a velvet ring box on the table. Jade's breath caught. "I've carried this ring a long time," he said. "I bought it the day after you helped me choose the sample designal those months ago. I planned to ask you beside the river that night. Fear stopped me then. I won't let fear steal one more day." He opened the box. Inside shone a simple diamond set in a slender gold band, elegant, strong, no extra glitter needed. Tears blurred Jade's vision, but she saw his face clear as sunrise. "Yes," she whispered before he could finish the question. "1,000 times yes." Michael laughed, relief loosening his shoulders. He slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit like it had always waited for that spot. Mia cheered from the desk, snapping photos with her phone. Passers-by on the sidewalk pressed close to the window, smiling at the scene they couldn't hear but felt in their bones. Jade stood and wrapped Michael in a hug, head on his chest, his heart beat steady and sure. For a long moment they said nothing. They didn't need words. The ring, the scars, and the bright line of their future spoke louder than any speech. Later that week, they returned to the old courthouse annex, now restored. With new glass in the windows Michael's fight had shattered. A public plaque honored Jade, Michael, Mia, and Lisa Ortega for their courage. During the ceremony, children from a nearby school asked Jade how she found bravery. She answered, "Faith is a seed. Some days it hides in dark soil. But give it water, kind words, loyal friends, true hand, it grows through stone." The children clapped and touched the bronze plaque, eyes wide. That night, Jade and Michael walked along the river, the same docks where betrayal had once drowned her hopes. The water glowed orange from sunset. Boats drifted, gentle creaks filling quiet spaces between their steps. Jade's hand found Michael's. "Ring sparkling," she said. "Do you ever worry the past will chase us again?" He squeezed her fingers. "The past made us stronger. If new storms come, we face them together." She leaned against him, feeling his warmth. "Together sounds good." At the edge of the pier, they paused. Waves lapped below. Michael turned, lifting their linked hands. "You taught me to believe in second chances," he said. "In myself, in love. That belief saved me." "And you showed me love doesn't quit when things get hard," she replied. "It stands, fights, even bleeds, but it never quits." A gull cried overhead, wings slicing bright sky. Michael kissed her slow, certain, no cameras, no threats, only promise. When they parted, Jade laughed softly. Happiness felt light. Not like escape this time, but like home. They watched the final sunbeam slip behind skyscrapers. Streetlights flicked on, casting halos on quiet water. Jade touched the gold letters on her wallet fate hand, thought of every step that led here. Rain, soaked betrayal, midnight chases, live streams, courtroom battles. Each memory hurt and healed at once. They were part of her story now, stitched into the fabric of new dreams. "Ready to go?" Michael asked. "Where?" she teased. "Anywhere you want," he answered. "We have a lifetime." Jade smiled, heart full. They walked back toward the glowing city, toward lighted streets, new designs, wedding plans, and long talks over late-night coffee. Dawn was hours away, yet for them, it had already begun. Because the millionaire who once broke her heart had become the man who guarded it with his own. And the black woman who never stopped believing in him had proved that faith, armed with truth and love, can move more than mountains, it can change the world, and still leave enough magic to color every ordinary day with hope.